The Land Transfer Debate Championship is an interesting way to help students better understand the challenges of formulating land transfer policies. This is an extension of the series of Economics of Land Transport videos produced for A-level students last year. The LTA Academy is very encouraged by the enthusiastic response from students to the debate.
Because the harm that comes from cars only comes about from the use of cars. You're only polluting the air when you're driving the car. You're only causing congestion when your car is physically on the road and not tucked away in a car park.
For such a system to work, you need to increase the current ERP rate by 2 or more times for it to even work by minor basis.
20% of Singapore is already covered by road space, and we are not taking into account the fact that our population is rising each and every year and each and every day. And we need to understand that more space has to be put into infrastructure, ladies and gentlemen. Education, schools, hospitals, things like that. That is where the main crux of it goes.
When you have more cars, what you are doing is essentially contributing more to congestion, contributing more to pollution, and when you are contributing more, we feel you should pay more.
Now it's interesting here because their worldview is essentially, I'm going to allow for the creation of negative externalities and all these problems so that I can get tax revenue to solve these problems. That's silly, ladies and gentlemen, because without the existence of these problems, we wouldn't need the tax revenue. In their world, however, tax revenue becomes this brilliant thing where you can suddenly pay for all the negative externalities, all that traffic research that you want to do, and healthcare and education along the way as well.
Because of the nature of this debate, it exposes us to many different aspects of the land transportation issues in Singapore, because we have to prepare for both the opposition and the proposition. It exposes us to many different perspectives, and therefore we have a deeper understanding of the issues and problems faced in Singapore.
Because what happens, Hwa Minister?
No, thank you, sir.
No, thank you, madam.
No, thank you, sir.
In a moment, sir.
What do you have to say to that, sir?
Sir?
Innovative policies.
Yes, sir. I think this series was an exciting experience because we were forced to look at very specific issues that, while people can easily dismiss as minor and insignificant, actually do affect people on a regular basis. And the challenges specific to this competition was trying to relate it to the local perspective and also maintain a global understanding, because both are important in the debate.
The government has to prioritize its spending in order to maximize the utility of taxpayers' money, because they are using taxpayers' money to benefit as many people as possible.
There are disincentives in place, such as the COE scheme, the ERP scheme, and the COE scheme tackles ownership externalities, while the ERP scheme tackles usage externalities. And we see, ladies and gentlemen, that if their policy is going to achieve these same aims, we don't see why they have to spend more money to achieve the same aims when status quo is already doing so.
Can we accommodate more people on the roads than there already are? Because this will result in severe negative externalities, and this includes time wasted in traffic jams. Currently, people in Bangkok spend 3 hours a day in traffic jams. Are you going to increase this to 5 hours a day?
Let's face it, private transport is infinitely more comfortable than public transport. This is because in peak hour, in rush hour, there are jams all over the place. There's no guarantee of you getting a seat. You're packed like sardines in a small little carriage with a ton of other people that you don't wish to be pressed against.
We must understand that there is an increasing need for public transport. There is increasing demand for public transport. 60% of our population, that is 3 million of our population, we use public transport. And we see, ladies and gentlemen, that all these needs and demands are not met if we were to leave it to these two private firms alone. We see, as I've mentioned, the company's aim of maximizing profit. If they were to focus on maximizing profit, consumers' welfare would be neglected.
But what happens when you introduce private firms into the mix? What this means is that all the money that was previously invested into public transport can now be shifted to other usage. Firstly, it can be redistributed to consumers like us. We don't need to pay so much tax anymore. Secondly, it could be redistributed to other social policies, for example, healthcare or the environment. But the third thing, and the most important thing, ladies and gentlemen, is that when private companies enter the market with their own individual funds, this means that the money that was previously used for public transport still remains there and is freed up and can go back into the public transport sector to improve it even further. So ladies and gentlemen, who gives you the more efficient system? Who gives you the system that has more funds to work with? Who gives you a better future? Walk with side opposition, the more reasonable side. it's really been a very gratifying experience for all of us, and I'm sure this will stay as one of our most remembered competitions because it's really our first competition as a team, and to have emerged out of it as winners as well as best speaker of the finals is really something that we never expected.
LTA has provided students with an opportunity to think meaningfully about transportation issues and not just look at Facebook issues, but really think about it. So thank you very much to all the organisers for providing an intellectual platform for our students.